vindication.
Welcome to Interface here on SABC 3. My name is Thembisa Magele. While suspended Cosatu General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi is preparing to defend himself before a disciplinary hearing to answer 9 charges relating to sexual misconduct. He may also face more charges relating to alleged irregularities relating to the sale of the old Cosatu building and the purchase of the new one. Vavi and the 9 affiliates supporting him see this as an attempt to get rid of him for political reasons. And now Mr. Vavi is our guest tonight here on Interface. Remember, you can send us your comments on our Facebook page. It's Interface on SABC3. Or you can find me on Twitter. It's @Thembisa Magele. Welcome, and thank you for coming through to talk to us, sir.
Thank you very much, Thembisa.
So last year, Putsweli, we were talking to you about, your fight against corruption. You were championing the cause. Fast forward a few months later, you were being accused of the very same things you were fighting against. What happened?
Well, that's politics for you, isn't it? And some people decided that in order to discredit me, they must pick me up on the issue that the public have come to respect me around, which is the issue of a battle against corruption, a battle against what we have called the predatory elite, and other shenanigans that lead to the billions and billions of taxpayers' money being wasted. And so there has been a huge campaign by faceless sources at the beginning, but then later the sources emerged one by one. We began to attach faces on people who said that Zwelinzima Vavi had stolen millions of rands on the sale and purchasing of Cosatu buildings and all manner of other allegations about corruption.
But why? What's at the heart of this?
It's a political and class divisions that are emerging even within the trade union movement. Put frankly, I represent a particular school of thought which is consistent with what workers have been asking for in each and every Congress they have had, in each and every assembly they have ever gathered to announce the demands and the aspirations. I belong to a school of thought that says South Africa after 20 years is facing a crisis of unemployment, poverty and inequality as a result of failure and lack of political will to restructure the economy, to confront the 6 monopolies that dominate the economic sphere, to change the orientation of the economy, which remains externally orientated, dominated by the mining, finance and heavy chemicals complex, and towards industrialization, manufacturing, building of the agricultural sector as part of that strategy.
That's an ideological thing, though. It's an ideological
absolutely
thing.
And ideological differences sometimes pronounce themselves out as the battle against this and that and that.
But Butsweli, let's look at first the sexual misconduct charges. You've already admitted to that. You've apologized. Now there are other charges being brought to the fore. Are any of these charges true? Will any of this mud that you say is being slung at you, will it stick?
It won't. For example, as your introduction, you're saying that I am being charged for sexual misconduct. There's no such a charge that I'm being charged for. I'm being charged for a relationship I had with a staff member, which I have admitted, taken responsibility for.
But is that not sexual misconduct in the workplace?
Hold on, can I finish? You're asking me a question, then you
yes, because I need to understand
that
you're answering the right question.
I'm saying that I'm being charged for having an affair with a staff in the context of a office environment for which I have apologized 1,000,000 times, for which I have long said that for that Cosatu must take steps, including against me, to protect its image in the public. That's what I said right at the beginning. It's now 7 months since that have happened. I've faced charges on the 5th month, and I'm still waiting for a hearing date for that to go through. Instead of that being the charge, 8 other charges have now been added.
Yes, but let's look at that first one. How is this not sexual misconduct?
It's an affair. Look, this is what the thing. This is why I'm reacting in the manner that I am. Initially, I got reported in the media everywhere that I have raped and that I have sexually harassed somebody. That matter gets withdrawn unconditionally in a grievance hearing, and it is not on the table. I can therefore not call it a sexual misconduct as if it is still the matter as initially hitting the media headlines at the beginning. It is now down to an affair.
Which is inappropriate behavior.
Of course, that's what I've apologized for. That's what I have apologized for a million times.
Right.
What else do you want me to do?
But you accept that the charge of sexual misconduct, which is what is inappropriate in the workplace, that is what would translate into misconduct in my view. That is the charge that you've agreed to, that you accept, that you will face. And you're saying you did not have any personal expenses paid for by Cosatu. You didn't have any inappropriate or misappropriation of funds in the sale or the purchase of these buildings.
Exactly. That's what I have said in public. Look, I'm being charged in addition to the having an affair, and this is where Tembisa goes to. Once you charge a person, in particular, once at the same time you say, should I find you guilty, you will be dismissed for this offense, then it becomes a legal matter. Because once it becomes a legal matter, we will have to look at what is the code of the LRA says in relation to the guiding principles of what you're going to have to look at when you want to dismiss people. And amongst others, it says that there must be a rule that we have broken. There is no rule that says that I or anybody else should not have an affair. It may be morally incorrect, but it is not in the rules. Secondly, the law says you must have acted consistently against all other persons guilty or accused of the same offense in the past. You can't just pick one person and leave the rest of others. So that's the point that I'm saying, that once you take the matter to the legal route of disciplinary process, all those issues will then have to emerge.
Okay, we've got to take a break, but I've got 2 things that are pressing that I'd like to ask you right after this break, and I'd also love to hear what you would like to ask Mr. Vavi. Do give us your thoughts on our Facebook page. It's Interface on SABC3. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You are watching Interface, and my guest tonight is Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi, talking to us about what has happened in recent times. And I want to just ask, firstly, will you participate in the disciplinary process?
I will. That's the only way you can participate in order to clear your name. So I will do that.
And the lawsuit that you have apparently brought through, or with the affiliates brought through against Cosatu and against the 2 law firms, or the audit firms that are implicated in this?
No, they are separate issues here. When I was put on suspension on the 14th of August last year, I raised an issue that the suspension itself was illegal for 2 reasons. In that the decisions taken by that CC so-called were not legal decisions, in that the views of the majority were not tested in this way. When you have 2 motions in a meeting, you should subject those motions into a vote. The chair of the meeting, which is the president of Cosatu, didn't do that. He just declared that the majority, as you can see, are in favor of a suspension. Now, that's wrong. Secondly, when you suspend a person, you should subject that person into another type of a hearing. Give them a chance to state the reason why he or she should not be suspended. And then you have to listen to that representation. You have to give them adequate notice, and you have to be fair and not have a predetermined outcome in your mind. That didn't happen in my case. So that case is on the High Court scheduled for the 17th and 18th of March, the separate matter. Now, in relation to the Zwelinzima and Gobodo, they go and present a so-called final report to the Cosatu Special Central Executive Committee on the 10th of February this year. In doing so, they didn't come back to me or any other persons that are adversely mentioned in their report. That's unprofessional, it's unethical, it's unfair.
Okay.
And that's the issue that I'm taking up with them first. But if they don't cooperate in terms of giving me the report and giving me assurance that should they be wrong in any way in terms of their conclusions, they will have to apologize in public.
All right. There's a view that this, in essence, is about warring factions within Cosatu, and that you are actually being used as a pawn by one side to try and fight this.
That's absolutely nonsense. I've heard that being said. It's rubbish, to say the least, with due respect. The divisions in Cosatu goes back to 2011. They showed themselves up in the Cosatu Congress in 2012. You saw them. The whole Congress was live. And they go into a CEC in February 2013, another CEC in 2015, way before the so-called sex scandal. There were unions panting, mobilizing that I should be put on special leave on the basis of the allegations they were putting up in the media, such as that I have taken millions and millions of rands from the purchase and the selling of Cosatu House, something that not even this Zwelinzima and Gobodo have found to be true.
Okay, so now this the calls that we're hearing for a special Congress, special national Congress, to sit and discuss this matter, what good will come from that? Or what good are you hoping will come from that?
The unions that are mobilizing and exercising their right that is enshrined in their Cosatu Constitution, which states that should there be a third of unions who, for political reasons, organizational reasons, or any other reasons, feel that it is necessary that a special Congress be convened, they must requisite the president, who must then proceed to issue a notice, not to subject that issue into some majority decision at the CC. He must proceed to prepare. The purpose of that Congress, as I understand it, which is the reasons I fully support, is that Cosatu has been paralyzed by a leadership decision, by a leadership division rather, paralyzed to the extent that it is fast becoming a big bull that is toothless, or a big bulldog that is toothless, that is lying next to the gate with a big sign, beware of the dog, a dog that can no longer even bark. Cosatu members are losing out big time in the process. In this recent period, I'm sure everybody knows, e-tolls were implemented in Gauteng, despite the Congress resolution saying that we should be fighting against that. But there is no fight against that.
Let's get back to just the support that you seem to be enjoying from some of the Cosatu affiliates. The fact that the special Congress has not been held, and the fact that their calls to have you reinstated have not been heard, is that a sign to you that they don't have as much leverage or as much power within Cosatu as what they thought they had?
They know that very well. The last Congress, by the way, there were unions mobilizing at the leadership level against me. Their own members demonstrated full confidence in me, and to their surprise. So they're now trying to find a bureaucratic boardroom.
Yes, but I'm talking about your supporters, the ones that are actually calling for you to be reinstated. None of their demands, so to speak, have been met. Yes, so I'm saying, is that not a sign that they don't have the leverage that they thought they had?
No. The leverage will be at the Cosatu Congress.
So the members,
where
the ordinary
members will be given an opportunity to intervene, to resolve the paralysis and the stalemate that is clearly at the leadership level. And the other side is hell-bent and very afraid that such a Congress will not be in their favor. And that's why they are prepared to break the law, including the Cosatu Constitution, in order to ensure that no such a Congress ever takes place.
All right, we have to take another short break, and I would want to ask you straight after that break, what will happen if you are found guilty? And as Cosatu has indicated, that they will call for your resignation or even your dismissal. But we'd like to get your thoughts on that and your thoughts on what we're talking about. Interface on SABC 3 on Twitter at Tembisa Magele. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's just take a quick look at some of your Facebook messages. Upenyu Sodomba says, if I was Mr. Vavi, I would have resigned. He used his position to hire and exploit a married woman. Now he's blaming others. He has only himself to blame. Mohammed Wa Africa says, I doubt he'll be reinstated. He's most likely to remain suspended till Numsa realizes that its efforts are all for nothing. Stephen Taylor says, if sleeping with someone was a crime, half the people in government wouldn't have a job right now. Mr. Vavo says things as they are, and that's why he's being removed, because he's being seen as a threat. So mixed views coming through from our Facebook page, and we don't have time to go through everything. But Cosatu has indicated that should you be found guilty of one of the 9 charges that have been brought against you, they will have you fired, or they will fire you. Would you want to be reinstated?
By the way, to say that before a hearing, before you subject a person to a process to hear the other side of the story is illegal. Right from the beginning. That could only be said by people who have no understanding or full understanding of the law of the country. So I'm not going to say all the things that I'm going to use, by the way, against all of those things. And this is an interview. The disciplinary process will be a disciplinary process.
No, but what I'm asking is, will you still push for reinstatement?
Of course. Look,
but why would you do that?
This is where I am on the matter. I have no slightest doubt in my mind that the members of Cosatu across all the unions, not only confined to 9 unions, across all the 19 unions of Cosatu, will want a leadership that reflect their own aspirations as per the last Congress.
Even though there's so much bad blood in leadership?
But the leadership is not Cosatu, and that's what people are missing. The leadership of the unions do not represent the sum total of what Cosatu is. Cosatu is the 1.2 million members who clearly want an independent Cosatu, a militant Cosatu, a Cosatu that is not preoccupied with palace politics at the expense of taking up issues in the workplace and battling around those issues with communities. That's the type of a trade union movement that the overwhelming majority of Cosatu members are looking for. I
hear you being pursued by political parties. Are you looking for a new political
No, I'm not. They don't know Zwelinzima Vavi. That's why 6, 7 of them have been knocking at me to say, please come, and I'm not going anywhere. And I'm pursuing this thing for justice. Just imagine, Tembisa, if these guys were going to succeed to get rid of me on the basis of these flimsy allegations, the message that will be sent out to every whistleblower, to everybody that have spoken out against corruption will be that in future you dare not do so, because you will be subjected to what Zwelinzima Vavi was subjected to.
Would you support a breakaway of these unions that support you away from Cosatu and therefore, troubles within the Tripartite Alliance?
No. My first prize and will always be Cosatu must be a united front. Not united around anything. United because it is an independent, militant, fighting, revolutionary, transformative trade union movement with 100% focus on workplace as well as issues that are affecting workers in our communities. That's our first prize. Only if that is impossible, then will you then say, well, we've tried everything in our power to try and save Cosatu as a united force. And we are not at that stage yet.
Okay. Looking at what's happened so far, do you ever sit back and think, you know, perhaps I was at fault here in some way, in that maybe I became too big, you know, even bigger than the Cosatu that I'm trying to protect, that I maybe made this about myself?
No, not at all. I don't feel guilty in any way. If there was any fair criticism, people making that criticism would have come to me and or would have participated in the process that was designed by the CC to facilitate unity and cohesion discussion. What has happened is this. There is a process appointed by the CC, led by Charles Nupe and Petrus Mashishi, which have been boycotted by all the people who are making the allegations because they have no reason to say whatever they have been saying, that there is a rupture, that I represent either a rupture or a deviation. They are not coming to make those points in a discussion. Sidney Mufomadi and other former office bearers of Cosatu have tried their best to get us to come together. People are not coming to the discussions.
But why are you going public? If Cosatu is what's at the heart of what you're trying to protect, why are you going public? Why are you fighting this battle in the public arena instead of within the structures of Cosatu?
I have kept a decent silence for 7 months now. I have not gone to public and say this is my side of the story. What I see every day through misinformation in one door and including hiring auditors' reports that are said to be final without hearing my side of my story, I can see that if I keep and continue to keep silent, I will eventually be destroyed, and many people will eventually believe that I'm corrupt and that I've stolen these millions.
It's not true, though, that you've kept silent all these months.
I have.
You've come out and you've spoken about the affair. You've come out and you've spoken about these allegations that have been leveled against you. You've said they're not true. You've said stuff about the leadership of Cosatu. So it
no,
hasn't...
I have not said any stuff about the leadership of Cosatu. When I was suspended, I came out to say I will challenge this. It's unfair for the two reasons I've already articulated. When silent, when every time any person was making unfounded allegations, I have just said it's untrue, it will be proven in the disciplinary process. But that onslaught just continues. All the time the media is filled with stories that this and this today, tomorrow is something else, the other day is something else, a desperate attempt to throw as much mud as possible with the hope that some of it is going to be sticking. So I'm now beginning to say, but I can't continue to be silent.
Okay.
I will have to speak for myself, otherwise I'm going to just be discredited altogether.
All right. Where to now for Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi?
Well, I'm waiting for the DC. I'm going to the hearing, to the court appeal, and hope to be reinstated on the 17th and 18th of March. I will go to a hearing if I'm convened, but I'm going to say and insist, it's not just going to the hearing for a slaughter, I'm going to insist that the process must be fair. For example, Cosatu says it will open this process to legal representation. It wants to be represented by a senior counsel. It wants the chairperson of the DC to be a senior counsel. Then it is refusing that they should pay for my own legal representation against existing Cosatu procedures that says internal processes do not require legal representation.
We have run out of time, but I've got to ask you this. If you do win and you are reinstated, wouldn't it be best for you to resign and walk away and say, you know what, my leadership has been tainted at Cosatu. The people's trust, the people in Cosatu and the people in South Africa, their trust in me has been misplaced.
Unfortunately,
let me walk away.
That's not what I'm getting from the ground all the time. If I was to step down on the basis of unfounded allegations of corruption, just imagine what message will that send to everybody.
And if you step down after you've been reinstated?
Why? In order to satisfy the political agenda that was designed to throw me out for no reason. I can't. I won't.
All right, we're going to have to watch this one and see how it pans out. But thank you so much for coming through to talk to us here on Interface, Mr. Zwelinzima Vavi. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. Do continue the conversation on our Facebook page. It's Interface on SABC3 and also on Twitter at Tembisa Magele. Good night.